Hi everybody, this is Reza Captain's Aviation. So it's been a while, I haven't updated my website. It's over a year and a half, maybe about 2 years. I decided to start doing some videos and post them on my website, and try to help those people that are new to the hobby and really excited about learning 3D and flying close to the ground and all the cool stuff. So I think I can share a little bit of my experience. It may make it easier for some of you guys out there. Number two, set goals and milestones and do them, build blocks. You can't do everything overnight. It's almost impossible. So you got to be patient. You got to do it step by step. You got to have goals, and you shouldn't jump around. Meaning that if your goal is, let's say, to do a simple 4-point roll clean from right to left, you got to accomplish that before you move on to the next maneuver. Another one that I seem to basically see at the field and how people get disappointed is that they compare themselves to other people. You never want to compare yourself to others. You compare yourself to yourself, and basically the progress you're making based on the amount of time you're putting in. Don't compare yourself to anybody, because that won't have most of the time a good outcome. Compare yourself to yourself and keep it exciting, keep it challenging, and you should be. Now, one other thing is, you always want to fly a plane that you can afford to lose. That doesn't mean that you go buy a plane that you can crash the next day. You got to have respect for your plane, and fly it with that in mind, that you have. Now, when I say buy the plane you can afford to lose, the reason for that is this: most of the time, if you have too much money into a plane that is way over your budget, you'll be really nervous flying it even around at 500 feet or 1,000 feet. You want to kind of shake the nerves and say, hey, this is a plane that I want to learn 3D on. At the same time, I'm going to take care of it. I'm just not going to throw it around, but I'm going to take care of it. But hey, if I lost it, I can still replace it. With something like that, the chances are you're going to be improving much faster than the guys that get a souped up plane that is well over their budget, and every time they fly it, they really shake over the sticks. So keep that in mind. Another thing I see at the field is a lot of people really jump around from one plane to another plane. Make a wise selection and stick with the plane, with the airframe for a long time, so you become one with the airframe. There are many choices out there, and the choices right now in the market, in good classes, from good companies, very competitive. They're very competitive. Whatever you choose to get, stick with the airframe. Don't jump around too much from one airframe to another airframe. You may find certain things to be different, but ultimately your skill is the one that is the limiting factor most of the time, not the airframe. Don't do crazy stuff and push the limits too much. If your skills is such that you can't do a maneuver 500 feet, 400 feet off the ground, the chances are if you bring it at 5 or 10 feet, you'll probably crash. So I'm all for pushing the limits, but it's within the within reasonable measures. Don't just push the limits because you feel like, hey, I gotta push it until I learn. No, it's not the case. You gotta feel relatively comfortable doing the maneuver at a certain distance before you attempt to do it closer to the ground. And again, if you're pushing your limits, do it one step farther than where your skills are, not too much. Basically pushing the limit too much, that would result into loss of airframe or a lot of headaches for you. Now, one thing that really worked for me when I was learning the 3D is I'm mostly a weekend flyer. I really don't have time to go fly during the week, and what I would do is, let's say the next weekend I want to do 4-point roll. All week, if I'm driving to work, if I have a downtime, and I can think about something and not do necessarily something that needs my focus and attention, I'll keep repeating the stick movements and the plane attitude and the way it looks in the air and what I need to do in my mind. I keep doing that until I feel really comfortable in my mind that I can accomplish that. And what that does to you is basically boosts your self-confidence mentally that you can do something. And then when you go to the field and try to do it, you know, not necessarily you'll be able to do it as you imagined in your mind that you could, but it's such a help that after a couple of flights you feel like God, you know, it feels like I'm doing much better than last week. So have a mind game, you know, go over the maneuver over and over and over again in your mind and try to basically really boost your self-confidence and picture the flying with the stick movement. That helps you a lot. Now these days with the simulator, obviously you can do it with the simulator, but this mind thing is also something that you want to think about. With, you know, overwhelming number of videos of professional pilots out there, a lot of you guys watch videos. It's awesome that you can, you know, watch all these good pilots and the flying skills. But keep in mind, you want to develop a good vision also in with respect to what you're watching. So you get a sense of the maneuvers and how clean the maneuver is done, and you know the differences of one pilot to another. Once you start seeing the differences in how clean the maneuvers looks and what you really, you know, have to look for a maneuver, that's when you start applying what you've already observed into your flying skills. So if you can't see the difference, if you can't see how clean a maneuver is done, if you can't see, you know, a clean Harrier roll to a, you know, sloppy Harrier roll, what the differences are, how can you apply it to your flying? So you start developing that vision of seeing what really clean means as far as a maneuver goes. And burn a lot of gas and practice, compare yourself to yourself again, and good luck. We'll do more videos later on, and I'll probably get into more details for airplane setup, which is very important. Let me just touch base on that now that I brought it up. I don't want you to necessarily change the CG of your plane so you can do a maneuver a little bit easier. You're absolutely not helping your flying skills at all. I see people that make a plane too tail heavy just because they want to hover. It's easier to Harrier. Set the plane properly. Set the proper CG and improve your flying skills so you can do whatever you want with that airplane. Safe landings. I'll see you next time on rcmodelaviator.com.